I trusted her with everything. My secrets, my marriage, even the moment I found out I was pregnant, she knew before my husband did. She was my best friend for over a decade, and the last person I ever expected to betray me. But 6 months into my pregnancy, my husband accused me of cheating. He had proof, messages, photos, everything. The only problem? I didn't send them. Someone used my old phone to fake it all, and the person who did it was the one I called my sister. The bond before the betrayal. I don't even know where to begin. Maybe with the truth. I never thought it would be her. Out of all the people in the world, I never imagined it would be my best friend, the girl who knew every part of my life before anyone else did. She wasn't just a friend. She was the friend, my person, the one I called after every breakup, every late-night anxiety spiral, every moment I felt like I was falling apart. We met when we were kids, 12, maybe 13, and stayed inseparable through high school, college, everything. If you saw one of us, the other wasn't far behind. People used to joke that we were sisters born to different mothers, and in some weird way, it felt true. We shared clothes, secrets, even our dreams. Back then, I honestly believed we'd grow old together, laughing about how we used to cry over boys and stupid drama. When we started college, everything was new and exciting. We both felt like we had the whole world in front of us. That's when we met him, my husband. Well, he wasn't mine back then. He was just the charming, sarcastic assistant to our philosophy professor. 4 years older, smarter than anyone in the room, but still down to earth. He'd crack jokes before class, help students who were struggling, and yeah, he was handsome too. She and I noticed that immediately. At first, it was the three of us. Me, her, and him. We became a little trio. Study sessions that turned into coffee dates that turned into long talks under campus lights. It felt easy, natural, and back then, I never picked up on anything, any tension, any jealousy, nothing. When he and I started dating, she didn't say a word. She smiled, teased me about being smitten, and told me I better not mess it up. I didn't know until years later that she had feelings for him even back then. But she never said a thing. Not a hint. He and I eventually got serious. Graduated, moved in together, got married, and through it all, she stayed by my side. Maid of honor at our wedding. Godmother to our child. We shared everything, from the ridiculous to the sacred. She knew every fight I ever had with him, every insecurity I carried, every detail of our life together. Because I trusted her that deeply. And the worst part? I still remember the day I found out I was pregnant. We'd been trying for a while. Not long, but long enough that I started doubting myself. Wondering if something was wrong with me. That day, I had a cheap dollar store pregnancy test in my bag, just in case. I was over at her apartment, and we were watching some mindless cooking show, and I excused myself to the bathroom without telling her. I figured I'd take it real quick and get it over with. But then, 2 lines. I remember sitting there, staring at them, feeling this wave of disbelief. Then joy, then fear, then joy again. I walked out of that bathroom and just held up the stick. She didn't even hesitate, she ran to me and hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. We both cried, real tears. She told me she was proud of me, that she was excited, that she couldn't wait to meet the baby. And I believed every word. I told her before I even told my husband. That's how much I trusted her. And now I lie awake at night, replaying that moment. Wondering if she already knew what she was going to do. Wondering if those tears were real or if she was already planning the knife she'd twist into my back 6 months later. Cracks begin to show. It started with little things. The kind of things you brush off because you don't want to seem dramatic. The kind of things you talk yourself out of noticing. Because noticing would mean something's wrong, and once you admit that, you can't unsee it. My husband, who had always been gentle, goofy, quick to laugh, suddenly started getting irritated over nothing. I'd ask if he wanted tea or coffee, and he'd snap, "I'm not a child, I can get it myself." If I asked what was wrong, he'd just shrug and say he was tired. But it wasn't just that. It was the way he looked at me. Cold, distant, like I was a stranger in our own home. At first, I thought it was stress. He'd been working longer hours, and I was 6 months pregnant at that point. Maybe we were both just tired and overwhelmed. That's what I told myself. Over and over. But it got worse. He started going out more, random errands, sudden visits to his brother's place that I wasn't invited to. And when he was home, he barely looked at me. He stopped touching my belly, stopped asking how I was feeling, stopped smiling when I played him our baby's heartbeat. I remember one night, I caught him staring at me while I folded laundry. Not in a loving way. Not even in a curious way. Just blank, like he was trying to see something in me that wasn't there. I finally couldn't take it anymore and asked, "What is going on with you?" He didn't answer at first. He just picked up his phone, scrolled for a second, then looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I know the truth." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I had no idea what he was talking about. What truth? He handed me his phone. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. It was a series of screenshots, messages from a dating app I didn't recognize. Some man I'd never seen before. And then the name, my photos, private photos, ones I never posted anywhere, ones that only existed on my phone, some of them taken when I was barely dressed, others just candid shots I'd shared with no one but my best friend. And the messages, they said things I would never say, talking about how I wasn't sure who the baby's father was, saying I was sleeping with the man behind my husband's back, that I'd been keeping the pregnancy secret from both of them. It was sick. I didn't write this, I whispered. He looked at me like I was dirt. Don't lie to me. I'm not lying. I don't even have this app. I've never downloaded this. You used your old phone, he snapped. She told me everything. I blinked. She? Who? Your best friend. And that's when I knew my world was about to crack in half. She told me she couldn't keep lying for you anymore, he said, practically shaking. She said she saw you messaging other men. That she begged you to stop and you just laughed it off. She told me to check your old phone. I couldn't breathe. I was dizzy. I actually had to sit down. My knees were about to give out. She's lying, I whispered. She's lying, she had my phone when But I stopped myself. Because I remembered. I remembered the day I gave her my old phone to transfer pictures to my new one. She insisted on helping. She was always a little tech savvy. Said she'd take care of it for me. At the time, it didn't feel like a big deal. She was my best friend. I trusted her with everything, including that phone. And now I realized she'd used it to destroy me. She used it, I said again. She faked this. I don't know why, but he didn't even let me finish. Because you're guilty, and she was tired of covering for you. He stood up, walked to the bedroom, and started throwing my clothes into a suitcase. I followed him, sobbing. Please, don't do this. I swear to God, I've never cheated on you. Please listen to me, just listen. But he didn't. He zipped the bag shut and said, I want a divorce. And I want a paternity test. I begged. I screamed. I even called her right there on speakerphone. And she answered, calm, cold. Her voice didn't shake once. I'm sorry, she said, but I can't keep lying for her. I know the truth, and so do you. I wish I could describe what that felt like. It wasn't heartbreak. It was something deeper, more personal, more permanent, because in that moment, I realized I had lost both of them. The man I loved, the friend I trusted, gone in the same breath. The setup and the shattering. I don't remember packing. I don't remember what I threw into the suitcase or what I left behind. I just remember the sound of the zipper, harsh, final, and my husband's face, carved out of stone. This was the man who used to kiss my forehead when I couldn't sleep. The man who talked about building a crib with his own hands. Now he wouldn't even look at me. I called her again. I put the phone on speaker. I needed her to hear me. I needed him to hear her lie with his own ears. Tell him, I begged. Tell him you made it up. Please, tell him. There was a pause. Then her voice, calm, almost gentle, like she was scolding a child. I'm sorry, but I can't keep lying for you anymore. He deserves the truth. I lost it. The truth? What truth? I never cheated on him. You know that. Why are you doing this to me? But she didn't flinch. She just kept repeating, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like a recording. My husband hung up. Enough, he said. I don't want to hear any more. I'm pregnant with your child. I screamed. I told you before anyone else. Why would I do that if I was cheating on you? He didn't answer. He just shoved the bag toward me. Get out. I refused. No, this is my home too. You can't. He grabbed my arm. Not hard at first, but enough to move me toward the door. Go. Now. I yanked my arm free. Don't touch me. He stumbled backward and hit the corner of the dresser. That's when something inside him snapped. His eyes changed. He lunged again, gripping my arms, this time tighter, shaking me like he was trying to rattle the truth out of me. Stop lying to me, he shouted. Stop lying. It hurt. I cried out. He let go almost immediately, but the damage was done. The trust, the safety, the thing that had always been there between us, it was gone. I left. I didn't even take the bag. I just grabbed my phone and ran out the door. My mother's house was only a 15-minute drive, but it felt like an ocean away. My whole body shook the entire ride. My chest hurt so bad I thought I might be having a heart attack. The next morning, he texted, "We're doing the paternity test today." I agreed. I wanted to prove it. I wanted to clear my name, to make him see. But even as I typed, "Okay," a sick realization crept in. Even if the test came back the damage was already done. 2 weeks passed. The test came back. It was his baby. Of course it was. I'd never been with anyone else. He apologized for doubting the paternity but still wouldn't believe I hadn't cheated. He said the messages were too specific. The photos were too private. The friend's story too detailed. He said there was no other explanation. We fought. Over the phone, over text, in person. Each time I felt myself breaking a little more. One night, after another screaming match, I ended up in the hospital with stress contractions. I wasn't even 7 months along. The nurse told me I had to calm down for the baby's sake. I wanted to tell her I was trying. I really was. And that's when she, my so-called friend, finally cracked. She called him while I was still in the hospital. She told him everything. That she made up the dating app. That she used my old phone. That she stole my photos. That she created a fake man for me to cheat with. That she wanted to ruin my marriage because she was jealous. Because ever since I got pregnant, he didn't pay attention to her anymore. She said she thought it would just make him angry for a few days and then he'd forgive me. She never imagined it would go this far. She cried on the phone, said she was sorry, said she'd lost her mind. He came to see me at the hospital. He looked wrecked. He apologized 1,000 times. He said he believed me now. He said he didn't know how he could have been so blind. I stared at him. This man who had thrown me out. This man who had grabbed me and shaken me. This man who had believed a lie over the woman carrying his child. And I felt nothing. I wasn't angry. I wasn't relieved. I was just empty, like someone had scooped out my insides and left a shell. We went home. We agreed to therapy. We agreed to space. He said he would do whatever it took to fix what he'd done. I nodded. But inside, I knew the truth. Even though the evidence was fake, the damage was real. The shattering wasn't just the betrayal. It was the realization that our love could be turned upside down so quickly, so easily. That trust, the thing I thought was indestructible, could be broken beyond repair, not by cheating, but by believing in it. The fallout. The house didn't feel like our home anymore. It felt like a stage set. Everything was still there, the furniture, the framed wedding photos, the baby clothes folded neatly in the corner of the nursery, but the air was different. Thin, stale, like the walls themselves had soaked up every fight, every scream, every accusation. He apologized constantly. Little things. "I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I'm sorry I let it go so far. I'm sorry for touching you." He'd try to make tea, offer to rub my feet, cook dinner. He'd sit on the edge of the couch and watch me like I might disappear. Like if he blinked too long, he'd wake up and I'd be gone. I didn't know how to respond. Half the time, I just nodded. Sometimes I muttered, "Okay." Other times I couldn't even look at him. The words, "I'm sorry," started to sound like noise, like background static. Because none of it changed what had already happened. I had bruises on my arms where he'd gripped me. They faded over the days, but the memory of it didn't. It would flash in my head at random moments, when I was washing dishes, when I heard his keys in the lock, when I felt the baby kick. I'd see his hands, feel the shaking, hear him shouting, and my stomach would twist. At night, we lay in the same bed but miles apart. He tried to reach for me once, and I flinched. Not because I thought he'd hurt me again, but because my body didn't know how to be near him anymore. The closeness we once had, the kind where you just melt into someone without thinking, was gone. We started therapy. The first session, I barely spoke. The therapist asked what brought us in, and he did all the talking. "We've been through a misunderstanding," he said, like it was a bad business deal. "We're trying to rebuild trust." The therapist turned to me and asked if I agreed. I said, "Not exactly." My voice cracked. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice. She nodded slowly, like she understood, and scribbled something down. He stared at the floor. We went home in silence. I tried to do normal things, grocery shopping, prenatal checkups, folding baby clothes, but everything felt like acting. I'd walk through the baby aisle at Target, pick up a tiny onesie, and feel tears sting my eyes. This was supposed to be a happy time. We were supposed to be decorating the nursery together, arguing over baby names, planning the future. Instead, I felt like I was grieving something no one else could see. And my best friend, my former best friend, had vanished. No calls, no texts, no explanations beyond that one phone call where she confessed. She blocked me on everything. The last photo I saw of her was on Instagram, a picture of her with some mutual friends at a bar, smiling like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just detonated my life and walked away from the wreckage. Sometimes I wondered if that hurt more than my husband's betrayal, the realization that she had calculated every move, used my secrets as weapons, and still managed to sleep at night. The nights were the worst. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, my mind looping through everything. The fake messages, the fights, the hospital, the confession. I'd look at him sleeping on his side of the bed, hands tucked under his chin like a boy, and I'd feel this aching mix of love and resentment. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't even a bad man. But he'd believed her. He'd looked me in the eye and chosen someone else's story over mine. And no matter how many therapy sessions we went to, I didn't know if I could ever unknow that. The baby kicked one night while I was crying quietly into my pillow. It was a strong kick, the kind that makes your whole stomach jump. For a second, it startled me. Then it felt like a reminder. A little foot pressing from the inside, saying, "I'm here. Keep going." I put my hand on my belly and whispered, "I'm trying." Because I was trying to forgive. Trying to heal. Trying to stay for the baby, for the life we'd built. But deep down, a voice kept whispering back, "Sometimes trying isn't enough." The confession. I used to think that if the truth ever came out, it would feel like relief. I imagined I'd feel vindicated, like a weight had been lifted. Like everything would slide back into place and we'd wake up from this nightmare. But when the confession finally came, it didn't feel like that at all. It happened on a gray afternoon while I was still recovering from my hospital stay. I was sitting at the kitchen table with a mug of cold tea I'd forgotten to drink. He was pacing back and forth, rubbing the back of his neck, his phone in his hand. "She called," he said finally. His voice was strange, hollow, like it was coming from far away. "She told me everything. I didn't say anything. I didn't trust my voice. She made it all up," he went on. "The dating app, the man, the screenshots, all of it. She used your old phone. She stole your pictures. She said she was jealous." The words hung in the air like smoke. Jealous. It sounded so small, so childish, but it had destroyed my life. "She said she thought I'd get mad for a few days and then forgive you," he said. "She said she never thought it would go this far." I stared at him. He was crying now, wiping his eyes with the heel of his hand. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I should have believed you. I should have listened. I don't know how I could have been so blind." I kept waiting for the relief to hit. For the knot in my chest to loosen. For the "I told you so" to form on my lips. But it didn't. All I felt was this numb, aching emptiness. Like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left a shell behind. "She's gone," he said. "She blocked me. She blocked you. She said she can't face either of us." I almost laughed. Of course she couldn't face us. She'd burned everything down and then walked away from the ashes. He came around the table and knelt beside me, like he used to when he proposed. He took my hands, his eyes red. "I love you," he said. "I'm so sorry. Please don't give up on us." I looked at him, really looked at him. This was the man I'd built a life with. The man I was carrying a child for. The man who had believed a lie over me and thrown me out. He wasn't evil. He wasn't cruel. He was just human, weak in a moment that mattered most. "I don't know if I can do this," I said softly. "I don't know if we can be who we were." "We can go to therapy," he said quickly. "We'll take space. I'll do anything you want. Please." I nodded, because I didn't know what else to do. We had a baby coming. We had a house. We had years together. Walking away felt impossible. Staying felt impossible, too. That night, while he was in the shower, I opened my phone and scrolled back to the day I told her I was pregnant. I still had the photo. The 2 lines on the test, my hand shaking, her hand in the frame reaching toward mine. I remembered her crying with me. I remembered believing those tears. And now, I couldn't tell which part had been real. Had she been happy for me? Or had she already been planning to take everything from me? The baby kicked again, a sharp little jab, and I flinched. It felt like the only real thing left in my life. The aftermath. People like to believe that once the truth comes out, things get better. That apologies fix the damage. That therapy brings healing. That love, if it's real, can survive anything. But here's the thing they don't tell you. Some things can be forgiven, and still never be the same again. We stayed, not because everything was okay, it wasn't, but because walking away felt like dropping a plate you'd spent years carrying, just to avoid another crack. So we patched it. We tried. We kept going. We still live together. We still go to therapy every week. We make plans for the baby, ultrasounds, names, nursery paint colors. From the outside, we probably look like a couple recovering from a rough patch. But inside, I don't feel recovered. I feel changed. There are days when I catch myself looking at him and remembering how quickly he turned on me. How fast the doubt took over. How tightly he grabbed my arms. How easy it was for him to believe the worst version of me. And there are nights when he holds me and whispers, "I love you," and I believe him, but only for a second. Then I remember how he used to say that before telling me to pack my things. Love isn't always the problem. It's what people do when they think love is broken that makes or breaks everything. He let his fear talk louder than his trust. And she, my former best friend, used that fear like a weapon. I still don't understand how someone who called me sister could do what she did. Maybe she never got over the fact that I married the man she wanted. Maybe she just wanted to feel powerful for once. I don't know. I probably never will. Sometimes I think about confronting her, telling her how she destroyed the two people who loved her most. But what's the point? She's vanished, deleted, like she erased her part in this story. The truth is, I'm not angry every day anymore. I'm not crying in the bathroom or staring at the wall in silence. I'm moving forward, slowly, awkwardly, but I am. But I'm different now. I'm the kind of woman who keeps her phone passworded, even at home. The kind of woman who second guesses when someone is just being nice. The kind of woman who lies awake wondering if staying was brave or foolish. The baby's due in a few weeks. A boy. Some mornings, I sit in the nursery and fold his little clothes, trying to picture what kind of mother I'll be. I want to be the kind who protects him, who teaches him about trust, about kindness, about paying attention to who people really are behind the smiles. But more than anything, I want him to grow up knowing that love isn't supposed to hurt like this. As for me and my husband, we're still here. Still trying. But I don't know if we'll make it. And maybe that's okay. Maybe surviving something like this isn't about going back to how things were. Maybe it's about figuring out if there's anything left to build something new. And if not, then maybe walking away isn't failure. Maybe it's finally making peace with the fact that some things don't get fixed. They get survived. End of story.